welcome to another tantalizing episode of ExcelTV. How you doing, Oz?
I'm doing wonderful here in Portland, Oregon, feeling sexy, bringing heat to Data and whooping crap Data's ass. Jordan, what about you?
Oh, wow. I'm doing great in Cleveland, Ohio. No follow-up on that. John, how are you?
Hola, soy John Michaloudis de MyExcelOnline. Vengo desde España. Are we going to talk in Spanish or in English? Hi guys, John Michaloudis here from MyExcelOnline.com, coming live from Spain in Vitoria, which is near Bilbao. So hello and welcome, and thank you for having me on your fabulous show.
Thank you for welcome. Everyone, this is Rick, rickgrantham.com, also of Excel.tv. With John, you might say, wow, he's in Spain with Michaloudis. What? That's not Spanish. Well, you know, it's. I didn't know whether to go with the Foster's is Australian for beer tonight or whether to have a siesta. So said we're going to go with the Modelo from Mexico.
How relevant. Very.
The guys, first up on our Excel challenge, over to you, Jordan.
Last week, I said, hey, look, we have this incel sparkline trick. So you've seen this before. It's these. It's when you use the repeat function. You put the pipe symbol in, and then you give it a certain amount of times repeat. You can see at this top arrow, that's just with the pipe symbol. So my question to you was, what is the font that you see in A3? So there are several fonts that do this, but what it basically does is it will condense those pipe symbols down, and that's what gives you that full bar chart look for the incel chart. So there's multiple fonts that one can use. I said just name one. Let's go take a look at a few of these. Now, Playbill, that's the one I use. Stencil, I actually knew about that one. I didn't really use it. Now, these last two actually came in from our answers. Britannic Bold, I've never used that for anything. And this other one, Hottenschweiler, definitely, I didn't even know that was a font. But apparently, Pencil, Stencil, or Playbill, I should say, Stencil, Britannic Bold, and Hottenschweiler, those are the ones that will give you that cool effect. So let's take a look at this week's winner. It's being shown right here. I don't want to pronounce and mess up your name. Now, I've reached out to you over the ExcelTV website. Just make sure to follow up with me to claim your prize. So, episode 2 of Season 3. I picked this question to be pertinent with our guest, John Michaloudis, known for his pivot table work. So, who is considered the father of pivot tables? Now, here's what's interesting about this question. I didn't even know there was a father of pivot tables. I was just researching what kind of questions one could ask about pivot tables, and apparently there is. And the book that's being referenced is, this is just a hint, by Bill Jelen and Michael Alexander. So if you do some sleuthing online, you'll actually be able to find this answer. I didn't even know that there was an answer, or that there was a question that there was a father of pivot tables. So that is our question, who is considered the father of pivot tables. You can answer on Excel.tv or on the Facebook or Twitter.
All right.
And that is the challenge for this week.
And whoever gets that one is going to get a copy of my book.
Oh, yes, yes. Whoever wins will get a copy of Oz's book. Show it to him. And I read that book. I referenced it today at work. It is a great book.
And I'm going to throw in a copy of my Extreme Pivot Table online course as well.
Awesome. Wow. Twofer.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that.
We are on fire tonight.
We are.
There's a lot of love here at ExcelTV. So, Season 3, everybody. It's a brand new day. Speaking of a brand new day, today our favorite Australian friend all the way from Spain, John Michaloudis from MyExcelOnline joins us. Well, welcome, John. Hey, John, would you start off a little bit? Just tell us a little bit about your website.
Yeah, well, MyExcelOnline.com has pretty much everything. It has an online course. At the moment, I only have one online course. It's called the Extreme Pivot Table online course. And I call it Extreme because it has over 200 tutorials, 10 hours of material. 217 tutorials to be exact, okay? So it's got that, and it took me 12 months to create. And yeah, it's been a success ever since I released it in July 2014. And then I have a blog on there, and that I started with a blog in September 2014, and I do weekly blogs. I do 4 blogs a week, one on formulas, another one on pivot tables, another one on charts, and another one on analysis. And they're quick blogs. It's a minute each. It's a screenshot, so it's an animated GIF. So it's a screen capture of the Excel workbook and the trick. And I also have instructions and photos. So it's mainly based for beginners and intermediate users of Excel. Because as we know, 95% of Excel users around the world don't know how to use Excel. And that's about 700 million Excel users, maybe 800 million Excel users around the world are being quoted. So 95% don't know how to use that. So that's why I've decided just to focus on beginners and intermediate users of Excel. And what else do I have? I have a podcast, and I started that in July last year. So yeah, I've got a podcast on there where I interview fellow Excel experts and MVPs and get their Excel insights. So yeah, so I've started that. I've got about 7 shows now, and that's pretty much it. So next on the agenda is going to be a new online course, probably Power Pivot, because a lot of people are asking for that. And that's going to take me another, who knows, 12 months. So I'm probably going to get another 10-hour course. And after that, who knows? I'll bring out podcasts once a month and also blog posts 4 times a week. So that's MyExcelOnline.com. So, it started off in 2014. I was working at GE, General Electric, in 2012. I had an internal blog there, an Excel blog. And I used to do the same thing, post blogs, Excel tips once a week. Wow. And I had 10,000 followers of my colleagues within within General Electric. Now, General Electric has 300,000 employees. So I had about less than 5%. And I thought about it, I go, these professionals don't know how to use Excel. And I go, man, I need to do something. So that's why I created that course. I go, I want to create this pivot table course, and I want to sell to these guys, and I'm going to get rich. I created the course. I couldn't sell it to GE because compliance came in and said, hey, you can't sell the course because you're an employee, blah, blah, blah. I go, okay, I'm not going to sell it to you guys. I sell it to the rest of the world. And yeah, so that's why I got into online teaching, because I saw the need for it. There are so many people, man. There are so many professionals that don't know how to use Excel because it's just thrown into it. And I thought, okay, look, I'm going to create pivot table course, because no one had pivot table course before. They had everything else on there. They had, a formula course or Excel in general, maybe macro courses, but no one had a pivot table course. I mean, maybe they had a small pivot table course, but not an extreme pivot table course. And once I got into that, I bought this book here, the Pivot Table Data Crunching. That gave me the structure for the course. I went online.
An excellent book.
It is a great book. It is a great book. And so I went on YouTube. I went on all these different websites, and every trick that's out there is on this course. And yeah, so e-learning is a $100 billion industry in 2016. So you guys should get on there. I know you're writing books, but you should get on e-learning, and to the listeners out there as well, if you want to teach other people how to use Excel, man, it's easy to do. The software is cheap, and all you need is a microphone and a camera. So yeah.
Let me jump in real quick then. Now we got tons of questions to ask you about covering there. So first off, congratulations, man. You had 10,000 followers, and I'm assuming you didn't have 10,000 employees.
10,000? Well, no, I didn't have 10,000.
It's not like you just sent it out to your team, but that's all they had.
I was working out of Bilbao in Spain, and that was General Electric has 30 different businesses, and in our warehouse, you could say we had about 150 people, but I had 10,000 people around the world from all different businesses, from all different nationalities on there. So Man, and that was within 12 months. So that was I just woke up and I thought, wow, there's a need here. So that's why I got into this.
So, John, you've done something that's pretty unique, I think. And it's just as an outsider looking at it, as a person who's, along with Oz, is in this space as far as blogging and having a website, and having a presence, a public presence. Jordan the same way, and certainly what I'm trying to do with here at ExcelTV. And so I kind of see the landscape of that, and I see that from my perspective, what you're doing is a little bit different from what other people have done. And here's what I mean by that. From my perspective, what most people do, what most people have done, what we're doing here at ExcelTV, and I think what Jordan and Oz have done as well, is there's a little bit of, okay, I'm going to share a little bit with myself and then kind of see how it goes and kind of create a blog, write a few things, see how it goes, and if it goes well, then maybe a year down the road, maybe I'll write a book or I'll create a product or something. It kind of builds on itself. And from my perspective, from looking at what you've done, you kind of flip that on its head to where it seems like you're almost a product first guy. You came out with a product first, with a training, with something you can monetize and make a living out of, and then from there have moved into the blog and create something around that. Could you talk a little bit through, first off, am I right? And if I am, could you walk through that decision a little bit?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. First, I came out with a product because with a blog, you're not going to be making a lot of money straight away. It's going to take a couple of years to monetize that, maybe never. So I thought I'd create a course because I really wanted to. I hated my boss. I hated bosses throughout my life. And I didn't want to work with someone else. I wanted to get out of there. I did my apprenticeship. I've been working for about 15 years in the professional field. And I go, enough's enough. I want my own, I want to wake up and have my own choices in life and my own creativity. And yeah, so I thought my way out of this is to create a course and sell it and teach other people. So the main thing is teach other people, and then if they're gonna buy it, they're gonna like it, then I'll get monetized for it, I'll get paid for it, and then I can get away from that shitty paying job and bring out more courses and make people more knowledgeable within Excel. So that's the way that I looked at it, and I wanted to leave in the first month that I sold my Extreme Pivot Table course. I made about $700. The second month was about $1,500, then $2,000, then $2,000 every month. Jeez. And in Spain, you don't get paid well. I was getting paid $2,000 a month in Spain. It's about 40,000 gross, 36,000. In Spain is normal, but for me, coming from Australia, when you're on $100,000 a year, and you go on this, small wage, you're like, okay, man, this isn't good. I've got a family. I wanted to make something out of my life. So I'm not going to make something out of my life staying here working with someone else. So I go, I'm going to make this course, and if it goes well, then bang. And it did. And with 6 months of track record, I was making about 2,000, then 3,000, then about 4,000. And then I thought, okay, I asked my wife, let me go, please. So in January 2015, this time last year, pretty much, I left General Electric and I went with this full time. And so then I dedicated more time on marketing and selling, and I haven't looked back since.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Great. I want to ask you, when you say if you're not doing e-learning, you got to jump in. So why aren't you keeping this as some kind of secret, and you aren't concerned that I might show up in Eclipse and then you're a hobo somewhere?
What you mean, copy the course and sell it somewhere else, or copy my course?
Just getting into e-learning.
Man, everyone's getting into e-learning now. I don't know if you know about it, but everyone's getting into e-learning now. Mm-hmm. And it's easier to get into it now than it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. And why am I not concerned? Because I have an Australian accent and you don't. So I'm. It's people for each country. As you got Indian people selling in the Indian market. You got Spanish people selling in the Spanish market. So you have your own personality. I have my own personality, and people resonate with it, and they buy based on that. And once you have a following, then they'll buy your next course, and they'll buy your other course, and it's like that. So you just got to set yourself apart, and you have a great personality, Oz. And man, I think whatever you bring out, you have a small following. People, you're gonna have them for life.
And I think I harken back to what I heard Chandu say. We asked him, I think maybe Jordan asked him a similar question in episode number 4, season 1. He said, hey, what about these books? And I think Jandu says something to the effect of, hey, Jordan, then why are you writing this dashboarding book? Because we can say dashboarding books have been done to hell. Everybody's done it, but they'll pay attention because it's your perspective.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Jordan, you had a question as well?
Yeah. So before the show, we were talking about our different projects, because I told you it took me 3 long, horrible, hate-filled years to finish dashboards for Excel, and you said it took about 12 months to finish your video course. So can you tell our audience, folks who are thinking about starting video courses like myself, what does it take? What things have you learned? If you could just speak to it a little bit.
Well, it took me 12 months because I was working full-time at General Electric, so that's why I decided, I had to record it at night time. So that's why it took a long time. And it also took a long time because pivot tables is just, it's rich full of features that I didn't know about when I started. I was a novice in pivot tables before this. And then once I got into it, man, there's so many things in there. And I'm a perfectionist as well. I want to write about every single feature, all the 15 different show value as features. So once you get consumed in there, you're like, bang, you just get consumed in it, you want to get it all out, and I did, and that's because it's pivot tables. The same thing can happen with formulas. There's so many formulas there. But you can create a course in less than 12 months. You can create a course in 3 months. I've seen people create a course in 1 month, and that's fine. You can create a mini course. It doesn't have to be an extensive course. I've taken my 10-hour course and I've condensed it into 3 hours, and I've sold it as a 3-hour course. I've also condensed it as a 1-hour course, and I've sold it as that. So you don't have to go into it, do everything at once. You got to get it out first. You can do a 1-hour course and then build on it and drip feed people with new videos. So there's
what are some tips? So let's say you're just going to sit down and do it. What are some tips so you don't hit the wall and say, "Oh, I'm done. This is too complicated."
If you lose the passion, then you're like, okay, and then you're going to give up. Then you're going to think about, okay, let's pivot away from there. And let's do a shorter course, okay? So you got to still have the passion for it, because it will take long, and the time will always pass. So you got to you got to hang in there. You just got to hang in there, and good things do take time, and it's like a good wine, like a crianza we're talking about in the Rioja. It takes 4 years in the barrel, so once it's out, man, people loving it. So it's the same thing as that.
Cool.
Hopefully I answered the question. I don't know. I'm just...
No, I like the wine analogy.
Yeah.
And so, sorry, one last question. You don't have to answer if you don't want to, but what technology to use, just for our listeners?
Okay. To record the videos, I use Camtasia, okay, and that's for Windows. Mm-hmm. Now, Screencast is for Apple, I believe. I'm not an Apple user. Excel geeks shouldn't use Apple. So yeah.
Do that, Rick.
And yeah, I use Camtasia to record the screen. And what it does is it costs $150. You can download it. Go to TechSmith.com. You get a 30-day free trial. And what it does is it records the screen. And then you need a microphone. You can get a cheap microphone for $20. If you want to do a course, pay $100 for a microphone, because you're going to get that money back when you sell the course. So you need Camtasia and a microphone. Mm-hmm. Pretty much that's it. Hit the record button in Camtasia. You record the screen. You talk, and then after that you edit it all out within Camtasia. And then you press a button, it uploads it as an MP4 file, and then you have your tutorial. And you got to do that 200 times.
Yeah. And so you've done all the editing and everything.
Yeah, and that's another thing, man. I'm a perfectionist as well. The editing takes ages. I think recording is easy because you can just talk, and I usually have a script at the start. And then I'm like, man, no. You just gotta have bullet points and just talk. Talk.
Yeah.
You can edit everything out afterwards.
Yeah.
And so I recorded all the videos, the first edit, and then I went back and did all the editing, all the cut out all the rubbish, and then put an intro, put an outro, put the music in there, and uploaded it as an MP4 file. And at the end of the day, you've got all your videos, and then you just got to upload it on a website. There's a great website called thinkific.com, which is a learning management system. And what you do is they host your courses. They have the e-commerce on there. They have the landing page. They have everything on there, and it's cheap. It's like $50 a month, and they have it's just that's where you need to use to sell your courses online. You can also sell it to a third party, which you get a smaller commission, like Udemy or Curious.com. Or Skillshare. There are so many now. I get emails every week from people saying, "Oh, we have this great new website. You want to sell your course on there?" And I put it on there, and I'm making no sales because these guys don't have any students, and they think that they'll sell it just by having a good course on it. No, you've got to market the course. You got to have a lot of students on it. So so you should host it yourself. Not host it yourself. Host it using thinkific.com. They take a 3% share just from the credit cards,
right.
And $50 a month is cheap. You can say, I'll sell my course at $99, at $200 for a downloadable version, and now I've got a lifetime access for $349. So that's how it is, man. And I can tell you now, I'm making from this course, I'm making about $10,000 a month in sales.
Wow. So what was that platform again?
Thinkific.com.
And
we can put it on the show notes. We'll put it on the show notes there. Okay. And there's other websites on there that I can let you know. WooCommerce. That takes a bit more work on your end. But Thinkific, man, they do everything. The uploading, the e-commerce system, the landing page. So if you go to my website and you click on Excel courses, you'll see that it will go to a page. That's the Thinkific page. And it'll be MyExcelOnline.com, and it's like my page. It's all green and all that. You go there, you click on it, you see the course, you preview the videos, and if you want to buy it, you buy it. So that's how it's done. It's easy. Software is so easily accessible and cheap right now. Cheaper than it was 10 years ago. And it's so easy, it's intuitive, and man, anyone can get into it.
Okay. Thank you for that, John. First off, we're about to move on to the next segment of the show. Yeah, topic of the week this week is Excel podcasts. So as far as I know, there's only a handful of Excel podcasts out there, and a good portion of people who watch the topic sections of the show or watch the entire show tend to be other Excel bloggers or Excel consultants who are looking to expand into training, looking to expand into just about anything. Certainly, podcasts is a portion of that. So I'd like to tap into that a little bit, John, if I could, since you're one of the few people outside of Chengdu that I know of that has an active Excel podcast. So first off, we want to get to the technology here in a minute, but what made you decide to start an Excel podcast to begin with?
Podcasts are big right now. Ever since 2008, after all the crash, the recession, people didn't have any jobs, and they wanted to fund themselves. So they started podcasts, they started blogs, and it really took off from there. And now there's 15% of Americans have listened to a podcast in the last 12 months. There are over 250,000 podcasts on iTunes. So there are massive, 250,000 podcasts, and how many Excel podcasts are there? Only one, and that's Chengdu's. And congratulate him because he got it up there, and I thought, man, Chengdu has one, someone should have another one. So it's a great way to market your business, and it's also a great way to learn Excel from your guests and also from the listeners. This is for the listeners, because I can talk about Excel, but I don't know anything. I don't know everything about Excel. I know 80%. Okay, I'm no VBA expert. Maybe one day I will be. And that's why I love Excel, because I don't know everything. If I knew everything, I'd fall out of love with it. So it's like a woman. If you get bored of her, you go to the next one. So I always try to keep myself interested in that, in there. So that's why, the podcast, he had a show, and I liked his Q&A format shows at the start, where he interviewed, I think, Michael Alexander, and I liked that. And I thought, and then after he went more about talking about, his own show and his stuff, and I thought, I like the Q&A. So I decided to interview fellow Excel MVPs and Excel experts, because there are so many out there. Mm-hmm. And they know stuff that I don't know. They know VBA, they know Power Pivot, they know Power Query. So what I did is I decided to get in that.
Wow. So
how many
questions? One.
Go ahead, Oz. Go ahead.
Yeah. So you have these hour-long episodes in a world where the experts tell you 3 minutes. 3 minutes is long. You need to cut this down. So how are you okay with an hour or so? And the next question is about, doing Excel without showing Excel.
I was thinking that too. I was going to be my
question. People drive to work and they don't have Excel on the laptops, and they're going to listen to something. And I don't go into detail of, okay, this is how to do a VLOOKUP, equals VLOOKUP. The first argument is this, the second argument is that. No. It's more about talking about the story of the Excel expert.
Yes.
People love stories and storytellers. So it's more about the background of how they became to be an Excel expert and an expert in their field. And also talking briefly. So it's introducing the Excel feature briefly, getting the lips wet, and then it's not going into greater detail. If they want to go into greater detail, there are show notes which I put on there, and they can click on the tutorial there, and then when they get into work after listening in their car or in transit, they can go in there and click in the show notes, and they'll see the tutorial that we talked about. And so podcasts, you don't need to have Excel in front of you to learn it. Well, you can go to work and listen to it. In the meantime, via the show notes, you can see all the tutorials, and that works well. But then you have the problem that your boss is looking over your neck. So, man, podcasts are huge, and a lot more people should get into it. I don't know why they're not getting into it. VBA people should be starting podcast show. ExcelTV, you guys should just do an MP3 format and just put it as a podcast show. That's just another idea. So, yeah.
We originally started doing that. I don't really know if it's still around, but they were floating around for a minute.
Yeah, what we had decided to do, actually, this show started out as a question. I'll let Oz get to his follow-up question real quick, and then I want to expand on that a little bit on ExcelTV and podcast. Go ahead, Oz.
Well, I want to thank you, because my own videos have taken a different direction where maybe half of what I've done in the past few months doesn't show Excel. And I feel inspired by you and Chandu for doing Excel without showing it. And it goes back to, when I started playing bass, and you don't always need to have the bass with you. That's the actual music, the actual playing. But then it helps to hear, say, Bootsy Collins talk about his relationship with James Brown and the things that James Brown would let him get away with or would make him stop doing. His relationship with the drummers when he came in, and all of that stuff that influences how the music comes out, right? Because you're there doing, but then there's the context about what will be put up with and what won't be, and what's expected, and how the directions that we're needing to change, and how, in a lot of the workshops I've done, I've found people don't need more formulas. They need to lay their stuff out right, or they need to see that they don't have good processes. And that helps when you get away from the instrument and have a conversation about the context within the music or the data is happening in.
Yeah, spot on. You gotta know what's possible rather than what's available.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. And
And
what's not working and what's working.
kind of jump back a little bit to some of the previous question then around kind of ExcelTV. Gosh, we had considered that. Actually, whenever we first started ExcelTV, the first idea that was floated is that we would be a podcast. This is before Chandu had come out. We didn't think we'd be a video show. So it's like Jordan was between jobs. And he said they're starting up this consulting firm. He said, hey, we should do a podcast. I said, well, I thought we'd do a video one.
Well, you can actually that's cool. But you can actually pull this video on the Apple Video podcast.
That's what we've done. We've done that. About a year and a half ago or so, we got about 6 episodes or so in. We took an MP3 version of it and actually connected it up to the store and had a podcast, or at least one of the podcasts. And that was kind of the thought, okay, we'll just turn these into MP3s all the way up to maybe the tip section. So all of this is kind of content, it's discussion, all of this. Why not just turn this into an MP4, create a process that does that, and then pop this out as podcast. So that was actually part of our process for a little bit, but we just kind of got away from that and haven't gotten back to it yet. Certainly that's still in our mind, which is why I'm asking such pointed questions. Because as I listen to what you've done, and I've listened to a few, and I listened to Oz's, most definitely, Oz's podcast, I was taken back by the polish that you had to your podcast, from the intros to the commercials to everything else. It just seemed very well put together. Could you talk a little bit about the technology and the processes you have in place to make all of that happen?
Sure, yeah. I had no idea before getting into this podcast scene. I listened to a lot of podcasts, and what I did, as you do, is you buy a course, an online course. And there's a great one out there called Podcast Paradise by John Lee Dumas, Entrepreneur on Fire. And he has a course on making podcasts. And that's what I did. I paid that. Expensive, $1,000. But anyway. So it's a lifetime access. And what it does, it tells you what you need to do a podcast. Because I had no idea about all these equipment that I have here. I have a mixer, you got the microphone. You can see here a professional microphone that's over there. Maybe if I put that all the way down there. Yeah. I had to buy all that stuff. And the course had it all laid out. So you had the section of equipment. This is what you need if you want to do the cheap way or the free way. I didn't want to go down that route. I wanted to spend a bit of money because I know in the long run it's gonna be worth it. So so I went the expensive route. Microphone $500, mixer $500. So I've got the equipment. So you need that, and then you need a software to record the audio, the interview. And I use Adobe Audition, and that's like $30 a month. You can go freebie. I think it's called GarageBand. And what I do is I do a Skype call. It's not a video Skype call. It's an audio Skype call with my interviewee, and then that gets recorded via Adobe. It records my voice and his or her voice, and that gets recorded. And then and once I record that, I do a lot of editing. The editing is the hardest bit. It takes me about like 6 hours, maybe 1 day or 2 days to do a lot of editing. And once you get all the editing right, you put the intro, the outro. You just got to upload it into a hosting server. I use the Libsyn, and that hosts your the podcast. So when people download it, it's got to come from somewhere. It comes from Libsyn. So you got all that in there, and then you got to put in a WordPress site or on your current website where you can put in the Libsyn audio player, and people can listen to your podcast. And once you put it on Apple. People have an Apple iPhone, they can automatically listen to your podcast. They can subscribe to it, and each time you bring a new podcast show, you get that alert. So, everyone has a phone now, so you can listen to a podcast on your phone. And so that's the kind of equipment that you need. You also need, a Q&A, or what format you want to do, a Q&A format, or you have a host like you guys, or it's just yourself talking. So you got to think about that before you start. And I thought about the Q&A form, and I had my avatar. Who's going to be my avatar? My listener. Her name is Dawn. She's a professional, 40 years old, working in a shitty firm for so many years, and she uses Excel but doesn't really know how to use it to its full potential. So you got to know your listener. So yeah, and then create the questions. That was a bit hard, creating the questions. And so yeah, you just got to have a format of the show. If you don't have a format of the show, then it's not going to go down well. You got to have a format of the show, follow it. And yeah, pretty much it. The intro, someone can get it done for $200, and the outro, you just say what you want. They put the music, you know. In this course, it has everything of who to use to make the intros, the outros, and it took me 3 months, 2 to 3 months, to get my head around it, to learn everything, and also press the record button, because it takes some courage as well, nerves. And it took me, like the first time I did with Chris Macro, I go, man, let's just do it. If we make mistakes, I can edit it out. And then once you get into it, it's fun. It's like this. You're like, wow, you're just talking, and you can edit it all out later. So, yeah, man, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. So, you know what's funny is that when we started ExcelTV, because I had this anxiety, and I wasn't sure whether to do it. And Rick was like, spaghetti against the wall, we are going to do it.
Yes.
And then we did, and yeah, we don't really look back. I know Rick saw a few of he recently rewatched the first few of the episodes. I've not, so they're kind of hard to watch. That's why I've not. But you know, that's really. I was going to ask you some questions, but you really went through everything. That really was a podcast 101.
Freebie
review. Yeah. Well, and it's funny because we're probably the ones doing this on Hangout, so. Clearly, we should be rolling in the G's, right? Right, everyone. But yeah, so I did want to ask you. So, have you gotten any feedback on your podcast? You know, what are things people have liked about it? What are things that you've liked?
Yeah, I got a lot of reviews, but I did a promotion. One other thing is to promote your podcast, and I got all these other affiliates to promote my podcast to get reviews so you can get ranked. The feedback, some people said, oh, you can't see Excel, so you're not going to learn. So I go, okay, well, that's not the path that I'm going, so I'm going to ignore you. Another person said, oh, it's too long, it's an hour long, I only need 15 minutes. I understand that, but pause it, do your workout, and then next day, tomorrow, listen to the other 15 minutes. You're not going to make everyone happy, so you got to know what you want to do and stick with that, And currently, I'm getting, I'm getting 4,000 downloads a month.
Oh, wow.
I've been going for 6 months. And that's okay. I want to get to 10,000, I want to get to more, but I'm just starting out. And you're going to be there for about 12 months. You're going to have a few shows to get traction. And, man, I just want to introduce Excel to more people, Excel MVPs and experts to more people, and just get the word out. That's the thing, man. If people don't listen to it, well, they don't listen to it. I'm having fun creating it, and so.
Awesome.
Awesome. So thank you so much for that, John. If there's no more questions from anyone else, we're going to go ahead and move over to the tips section.
All right. So what I have here is I have something that says wrong date format, and you can see here you've probably seen something like this before. If you've ever extracted from any database system, you see these dates are in serial format. We don't really like them in serial format because serial format is tacky. So how can I fix this? Well, there's a few different ways to do this, how we can convert text to numbers and text to dates. I'm going to show you one of the most recent ways that I've learned that I really like, because I know there's a copy and paste method. This is the one that I learned today. I probably knew it already at some point. But what you're going to do here is you're going to select the range that you want to convert. So in this case, we have A2 through A21. I'm going to go over to the Data tab. You can see that up here. I'll move my mouse over where it says Text to Columns. I'm going to select that. Now, you've probably used text to columns before. If not, what you can do is if you have text that's all in one column, you are able to split it off into multiple columns. We're actually not going to do any of that right now. We don't even care about that. All we're going to do is we're going to click Finish. And you see that it's now moved over to the right. Well, when this sort of number moves over to the right, that means Excel is recognizing it no longer as a number or no longer as text, but now as a number. And if I go here, I can just change it to a short date. And there we go. We've just converted text that is meant to be a date. And I believe this will also work in numeric form to what the type it should be. So just as a reminder, let's just walk through that one more time. I'm going to hit Control-Z just to undo. We have it in the wrong format. Go to the Data tab, go to Text to Columns, just click Finish. You don't have to do anything else. There you are. It's already converted. And then we'll go click Date again, Short Date. That is a great tip. You know how quick that is? There are some other tips I've seen where you select everything and you multiply or divide by 1. This is a quick tip, and I love quick tips.
Wow.
Wow.
That's
love
nice.
it.
That's nice.
Thank you. I learned this. I just recently learned this. I should have known it beforehand, but it's like you say, John.
That's so
You
right.
never be perfect in it. You're always learning.
Exactly. That's why you're in love with Excel.
Yep.
Oz, I think you had a tip as well.
So here we have, we've got this data. Okay, we've got dates, we've got names of, say, customers, and then locations and how many coffees they bought. All right, so a lot of times we want to summarize this. We might want to know by month, by location, and just a summary. Okay, so let's go into the get and transform, because one way we could do this would be to use sum ifs, count ifs, but we're not going to do that. Okay, so we're going to go to, so the data is in a table. So I'm going to say from table. All right, so now the data is here. So let's transform this. We want to make this. Let's see. Oh, right here. Date. Okay. So now I want to add a column. And I want it to be the month. Okay, so now I have my month. And I want to move it over. And the steps are being recorded over here. All right, so now I want to group by month, okay, and I want to group by location, and I want a total here, so I'm going to have a sum of what column? Of the coffees column. Boom.
Cool.
So now I've got Main, downtown East Main. But what I want to do now is I want to say, let's put this as ascending, and then make this one ascending as well. Okay, so now it's downtown East Main Street, so it's all consistent. So I go ahead and close and load this. Beautiful. Now I've got this data over here that needs to be put in. This is the West Town data. And now because it's in a table, boom. Now refresh. There's our West Town.
Cool.
Ah!
Boom!
Yeah! That's it!
Touchdown!
Oh, I like that. That was a great tip and a shocking yell.
Oh, man. Now I gotta, okay, yeah,
That's what happened in your first primetime episode.
Well, shoot, man. Getting transformed, good God almighty. That's all you can say.
Next up, the Excel news of the week. Okay, so first up, I want to remind everyone the Excel Summit South 2016 out there in Auckland, Sydney, and Melbourne is coming up March 3rd, various dates, March 3rd through March 11th. So go and check this out. A lot of the experts, gosh, even just people who have been on this show. Zach Parisi's been on the show. We like Ingeborg. We see her quite a bit. Bill Jellin, of course, Mr. Excel has been on the show. Ken Pulse has been on the show. John Peltier. We like Mr. Charles Fast Excel Williams. But man, go ahead and check this out. If you're over there in the Australia part of the world, go check out the Australia New Zealand Excel Summit South 2016 in March. Next up, a little bit of news about Power BI and Excel. Gosh, Gartner has come out with their rankings around BI. Business intelligence, and this is largely due on the strength of Power BI, which is a derivative of Power Pivot, Power Query, Power all that sort of stuff, kind of rolled up into a new tool, a new desktop tool. Wow! For everything that I hear about Tableau and ClickView, and gosh, even SAP and some of the other Power players that you would generally expect to see, look where Microsoft is at now. This is out of nowhere, guys. They are the leaders as far as completeness of vision. And there's only two that are barely edging them out in the ability to execute. And if you remember from our last episode where we had Ginger Grant on the show, and she was talking about Power BI and just the amount of resources that it seemed that Microsoft was putting into Power BI and into making it kind of leader of the industry. Gosh, if you're a BI guy or gal, you need to pay attention to this and think about the fact that this is almost free and that Tableau, some industry leaders have said, could be going the way of Netscape.
That's right.
I would not be surprised.
Microsoft rolls out something practically for free, and it's already on the desktop, and Tableau becomes Netscape. So go check that out. If you haven't looked out Power BI yet, go check that out. There's Gartner rankings out there, and a lot of people who spend money in IT pay attention to that stuff. Next up, contacted by one of my friends over there that runs ExcelChamps.com.
Yeah.
If you have not visited ExcelChamps.com, these guys come out with a blog post or some sort of free content and information practically every single day. I mean, John Michaloudis puts out 4 posts a week. I think these guys are probably putting out 4 posts a week.
I'm going to beat them.
It was 4 posts a day.
4 posts a day. I mean, they got stuff in a machine. So anyway, so go check out Excel Champs. A lot of tricks and tips and everything else. So just about anything you'd like to know about Excel, go check them out. They're some of the new kids on the block. Next up, I'd like to bring your attention to our YouTube page. We are up to 2,913 subscribers. So what that means is by that we're adding 100 or so subscribers pretty much a month. So it means by this time next month, by our next episode, we should be over 3,000. So what that means is if you're at a library, just go over to the computers and just subscribe. Subscribe to anybody who might be logged in. If you're logged in, go over to where your coworkers are logged into their computer and just go over to YouTube when they're at lunch and subscribe to ExcelTV on their account.
Yes.
Do a friend a favor there. We'll up over 3,000. So thank you very much for your support on that.
Yeah.
Next up, I want to show you some new things on ExcelTV. First up, John Michaloudis. This is the homepage here. But if you come over to ExcelTV, there's something new to show you here. So we're trying to make this easier to get around. And easier to get around, what I mean is whenever you land on something, you don't have to go through 5 pages of categories and stuff like that to figure out where the posts are. Now you can just go over to Season 1. And when you click on Season 1, wow, all the episodes from Season 1 are in one place. So all the gurus from Ken Pulse that we just talked about, Zach Parisi, who we just talked about, John Peltier, who we just talked about, is me and in the Excel Summit South, and we talked about Bill Jellin, who's guys, and there he is. We talked about Chandulo earlier in the show, and there he is. So pretty much everybody's kind of all in one place, so it's very easy to get around to this stuff. And if you click on here, which you'll notice now, which is a little bit new for this, as you scroll down, you'll see, wow, over on the right-hand side are all the other episodes that are in that season. So it's very easy to kind of get around now, so just go check that out. Next up, I wanted to bring your attention to this episode. So if you didn't go to full episodes, you go to Season 3, you eventually come to episode 41. That's this episode. You click here and watch the show that's in progress right now. But what I'd like to do is show you down here in the comments section. Come down here and leave a comment for John. If you had a question about pivot tables, if you had a question about any of the online courses that he has, if you have a question about, podcasts or anything related to this episode, if you just want to get in contact with John, this is a great place to get in contact with him. But there's something else around John's stuff. If you come up here, see we like John, so we have his logo here. And that'll take you to something very similar to this around his pivot tables course. And John, you have something coming up right now around pivot tables. Would you mind talking about this?
Yes, I have a free 1-hour pivot table webinar where anyone can join up. It's 3 times a day from Monday to Friday, and you can select your date, select your time, put in your email address, and then you can watch the webinar during that time. It's an hour webinar from how to structure your data, how to insert a pivot table, then how to analyze your data, then how to do a variance from the previous month, how to do a year to date, and how to group dates. You can also I'll teach you how to insert a slicer and how to create dashboards with pivot chart. Now that is the best thing, and I've got some cool tips right at the end, and also giving all ExcelTV listeners, subscribers and fans 25% off if they decide to purchase the Extreme Pivot Table course. Now this webinar is free, so you can watch it for an hour for free, and don't do anything. But if you do want to purchase the Extreme Pivot Table course, which is over 200 pivot tables and 12 months online access, you can also download the videos and keep them forever. 25% off if you put ExcelTV in the coupon area of the checkout page of MyExcelOnline.com. So for all you guys there, if you want to learn Excel and pivot tables mainly, man, it's got everything there. This is the most comprehensive pivot table course in the whole world. I'm confident in saying that. There's over 15,000 students, and you can have a look at all the ratings and reviews on my website. And even this free webinar, you don't need to get the whole course. This webinar, you're going to learn a lot. You're going to make some pivot tables, some great analysis, some great dashboards that you can show to your boss and say, hey, look at this. And I'm sure that you're going to get recognized, if not get a promotion.
So John, so some people spell ExcelTV ExcelTV. So anybody might be watching this right now, let's take a look at it. Is that the coupon code EXCELTV?
That's right.
Awesome. Perfect. So thank you very much for that, John. And I believe, Jordan, you also had some news.
I do. That's some awesome news. Let's jump right to it. I am right now at the University of Cincinnati Center for Business Analytics website. You can go ahead and you can go to that. You can either do business.uc.edu. I actually will just tell you, it's probably easier to Google it, University of Cincinnati, and you'll see the Center for Business Analytics. What I want to point your attention to, and the link for this, of course, is also on my website at optionexplicitVBA.com, is this Analytics in Excel course. This is from Thursday, March 10th through the 11th from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Why am I bringing this up? Because yours truly will be leading the session. That's in Cincinnati, Ohio, and it's part of the University of Cincinnati's Analytics in Excel short course. Now, that's a 2-day course. There's going to be lunch. I've done this. This will be my 3rd time. So we've had a great cohort the last 2 times. Became good friends with many of the folks that showed up, so I really enjoy it. You're going to learn a lot of the stuff I talk about in Dashboards for Excel, and we're going to do a lot of not just dashboards, but analytics, so data summaries, and my favorite, data visualization. We're going to do it all quickly, effectively, so we're going to follow data visualization principles, and we're going to do it without any VBA. So I know a lot of people are really excited about that, but it's all part of just giving you something that you can walk away with and use right away as analysts and folks familiar with Excel. So check that out, Introduction to Analytics in Excel. If you are, you should check if your company is part of the University of Cincinnati Business Analytics Center Network, because you will get a discount on the course. But if you ever want to meet me, and we'll also have some giveaways for my book at the course, this is a great workshop. So please attend, and hope to see you there.
So thank you for that, Jordan. Well, gosh, this brings us close to the end of the show, John. It's been a pleasure having you on the show. I've been watching you from the periphery for a while now, watching the kind of growth of your business over the last 2 years, and have been impressed with just the quality of the podcast, the quality of the site, the quality of the difference in your business approach, which we hit on a little bit earlier, which was kind of a product first versus blog first. So it's a real pleasure finally having you on the show and finally getting the chance to talk with you. Thank you for stopping by.
It's been great being on the show. Thank you very much. And you know you've made it in Excel when you're on ExcelTV.
And Skippy.
Now, before I go, just a quote which I love and I used every day when I was recording my pivot table course. Those long nights, and I was like, oh man, it's never going to end. And this goes, maybe you might resonate with this as well, Jordan. This is by Earl Nightingale. Never give up on a dream just because of the time it will take to accomplish it. The time will pass anyway. There you go.
I like it. Love it.
That's for you, Jordan.
For everyone.
So everyone.
So thank you so much for being on the show, and gosh, we'll see you in March, since we're going on a monthly format now. So we'll see you in March with the next episode of ExcelTV, which will be episode 43. So until next time, this is Rick Grantham, along with Oz Du Soleil and Jordan Goldmeier, reminding you to keep on excelling. We'll see you next time.